Okay, good morning. Today I will discuss you about the achievement of the early nationalists, your third chapter in history. First of all, we have to understand the era of working of the early nationalists from 1885 to 1905. These 20 years can be termed as the era of the or age of the early nationalists. Okay, and the major contributor, that means the famous leaders of this era was W.C. Banerjee, अच्छा, S.N. Banerjee, আনন্দমোহন বসু, চার্লু, ফিরোজ শাহ মেহতা, গোখেল, and Dadabhai Nauroji. So these are the most prominent leaders of this era. Okay, and now the question is what are the actually principles based on which they worked or they tried to liberate the country. That is the basic beliefs of the early nationalists. What are the beliefs? Because based on the beliefs the human being generally act. Okay, so first of all they believe in fair play and justice. As they all are Western educated, so they are in the firm belief that the British will treat the Indians at par with the British citizens, and obviously that's why they believe in the fair play and justice. And number second, as the British civilization is far superior than the Indian civilization, as claimed the British officials, so they also believe that the day will come that the British government will grant home rule to the Indians. That means the concept of complete independence was far-reaching. Okay, so they just wanted some kind of self-autonomy and all. Number third, they believed in constitutional and peaceful method. Constitutional and peaceful method to raise their voice or demand towards the British rulers. Okay, so these three are the major beliefs of them. And what are the demands made by them? See, though their activity is very limited or their approach was very narrow, but still they made some specific and positive demands. We'll go through one by one. The demands in your ICSE examination, the demands came under one roof. That is, one question is asked: what are the demands made by the early nationalists? You need not to segregate, or no segregated question are asked from demand. Like you can say administrative reforms, or you can say economic demand, social demand, like that one. Simply the question is asked: what are the demands made by the early nationalists? So first of all, but we have to give more stress on constitutional demands. First, abolition of India Council. The India Council, which was situated in England, they wanted that abolition of India Council, because India must be governed by Indians. That means they demanded the Indianization of the, you can say, Indian administration. Abolition of India Council. Number second, the central and provincial council should be enlarged. Why? Central and provincial council in the country should be enlarged. Okay, should be expanded, you can say. Why you are telling all this? Because of the fact they wanted more Indians to be included in the administration. And number third, you can say, more Indians to be included in the executive council of the viceroy, because in the council of viceroy the number of Indians is next to nothing. Okay, so that's why they wanted the executive council must include more Indians. So all these are the major constitutional demands. Apart from that, there are other demands too. The other demands are, that is also very important, that is the economic reforms. They wanted the reduction of land revenue. See, the British government took the land revenue in higher proportion. So that's why they wanted reduction of land revenue and relief to the peasant. And relief to the peasant. Number second, more money to be allotted for the agricultural development. See, the country's government, they earn huge revenue from the agriculture, but they never tried to develop the agricultural condition, the condition of the peasants or the agrarian techniques and all. So that's why they demanded more money or more revenue should be allotted in the budget for the better demand of the, you can say, for the betterment of the Indian agriculture. Number third, huge expenditure. The highest expenditure was made on the armed forces, because that is the main pillar of any colonial government. So that's why they also demanded the expenditure or budget on the armed forces or military purposes should be reduced significantly, and that amount of money should be used for the public welfare, people welfare, okay, or public welfare. Okay. Now, also we can say, now these are the major and number total. They also demanded that executive council must be, executive authority must be separated. It should be separated from judiciary, because for the very independence of the judiciary, or the for effective judgment of the judiciary system, or for effectiveness of the judiciary system, we want that the judiciary must be separated from the executive authority. We have seen after the independence, our framers of the constitution, they very carefully separated the three organs, executive, legislature and judiciary. These three are the independent and major component of Indian constitution, and by thus our democracy is saved. Because if judiciary is not dependent, so they cannot deliver judgment independently. Their judgment must be influenced by the vested interest of the government. Okay. Now, in spite of all this, now we can get, they made the demands, but what are the achievements, what they have got from the British government? Before that one, we must go through the some of the methods adopted by them. As already I have told and discussed in the earlier chapter, they are the early nationalists or moderate, so they never believe in mass movement. So they held meeting, give speeches, number of writing in newspaper. Through this they propagated their demands and ideas, and writing to the British government, writing to British government. These are the major, you can say, British government. Okay, these are the major and obviously they, another policy is the policy of 3P: pray, please and protest. So this moderate attitude made them actually unpopular among the Indian masses. They have no common connection with the common masses, or they never raise voice which may be connected directly to the concern of the majority part of the country. So what are the achievements made by them? In spite of all these drawbacks or limitation, what are the achievements we will see? So see one thing, what are the achievements? First of all, we will see they are the first, they created a national awakening, created a sense of national awakening that all the people are belong to a common country, that is India. That is the very base of the nationalism. That means that in spite of all differences in case of caste, creed, color, races, languages, food habits, etc., etc., in spite of that, the one thing is very much common, that is, you can say, we belong to a common country, we used to share a common geographical territory, that is India, and we are Indians. This is the nationalism. So the very base of the nationalism is formed by these early nationalist people. Okay. Number second, we will see they also popularized the idea of liberty, equality and fraternity. fraternity. These three are the popular watchword of French Revolution. As the early nationalists, they are Western educated and greatly the world community, no, it's not the exception in case of India. The whole world community was very much influenced by the French Revolution. So the ideology or ideal base of the French Revolution, that is liberty, equality and fraternity, these three ideas was popularized among the common masses by the early nationalists through their writing speeches. Okay. And number third, it is due to their effort that the government was forced to appoint a public service commission in 1886. That is the first step made by the British government that the Indians will be appointed in the higher post. And it is due to their continuous strive that the British government was forced to conduct ICS examination, the country's highest examination, the most prestigious examination for simultaneously in England as well as in India. Earlier, the rules are made like that. The Indians were deprived carefully. They couldn't sit for the examination due to age bar. But as the age is raised up, now Indian can very well sit for the examination. Not only that, another demand is fulfilled that the Indians can give the examination by sitting in India only. And this is one of the major landmarks in the history of, you can say, achievement of the early nationalists. And obviously, the government also forced to make in 1892 India Council Act. By the council was enlarged. More Indians are included. So we can't say that their total effort are utterly failed. No. One thing we must remember, these people worked in a very adverse situation. That is the very beginning phase of the nationalism. 99% people are illiterate. So the ideology of nationalism is not very easy to inculcate. Their continuous strive obviously made the platform. And their sacrifice obviously further widened the path for assertive nationalism or fight for final independence. So, but in spite of all this contribution, they are severely criticized. First of all, the methods used by them. The methods I told you earlier that moderate method is not at all acceptable by the common masses because they thought these people are from the higher hierarchy in the society. So that's why they don't have any connection with the lower community or the subaltern peoples. Okay. Acha. And obviously mass movement, they fail to draw the masses. See, a movement only becomes successful when we can draw the masses in the arena or on the street. Okay, as they don't have any connection, so they fail to do that. So that means we can say that though they have made some significant achievement, but their activities and the way of work and principle are severely criticized by the British historians as well as the Indian historians. But one thing we must remember once again, that they are the first. They are the first who inculcated the ideology of nationalism in the country. It is due to their effort that our further movement for national movement was widened. The door is now open. Okay, so obviously we may criticize why we can't reject them at all or deny their contribution in the national struggle. And one of the major contributor is Dadabhai Naoroji, number second Gokhale, and we will go through it in the next chapter. Okay, in the next session. Thank you.